Good afternoon, chess fans. My name is Pavel Voloshin, and today we'll make a broadcast about the match between Moscow Chess Club and Team Beijing. So, firstly, let's talk about time control of this tournament. It's pretty simple. 5 minutes for each player, plus 3 seconds per each move. So, games can last very long, for about 10 or 15 minutes, so we can analyze them very deep. Just 20 seconds before we start with this tournament. And there are a lot of great players today in both teams. Both teams have 36 players. We can see a lot of games. Many of them will be very interesting as far as I'm concerned. So just 5 seconds to go and our tournament will begin in a few seconds. So I expect a very close match because both players have great players and our tournament has just begun. So let's watch top games about, for example, this one. Sun Chao against Dmitry Am. Knight f3, knight f6, c4. So what can be played by black? Maybe c5 or e6, something like that. Will be played by Dmitry. But he's still thinking. He played g6. g6, maybe some preparations, but b3, bishop g7, bishop b2. So Chinese players likes these pawn structures. So nothing special. And what about knight e5 or queen takes d8, rook takes d8, and knight e5? Yeah, Sun Chao made this move. And what now? What about bishop e5 or knight e5? I believe that Sun Chao is trying to calculate some variations. Maybe on knight e5, knight g4 is a nice move with a pin on knight. But Sun Chao decided to take pawn on e5 with the knight. And what about knight g4? So, not so easy to understand. I believe that bishop e5 better for him, but also not so easy to understand. So, Dmitry is thinking, and I believe that he's thinking about knight g4 or maybe knight d7, knight from f6 to d7, something like that. I believe that he's thinking about that. It is the only possible move to make some counterplay, or he will be just without a pawn. It would, of course, it would not be very good for him. Dmitry is thinking. Not so easy to understand what he's thinking about. It's pretty simple position right now. There are not so many good moves for him. I believe that knight g4 is the only possible move. And knight g4 is played. So now this is a very good question to Sun Chao. I believe that f4 is the only move in this position to protect knight on e5. Knight d3, very nice try, but what about rook d3? Rook can take on d3. Bishop takes g7 and maybe even rook d1, king d1 and knight f2, something like that is possible. So Dmitry has to decide what to do next. Very important decision. I believe that he's calculating rook d3. Rook d3, if pawn takes on d3, bishop b2 will be played, but Dmitry decided to play bishop f5. Bishop took on g7, king took on g7, and what about knight d2 or knight c3, something like that? Or maybe just h3. What about just h3? Very good move for Sun Chao, but he decided to play knight c3. Knight c3 maybe is not the best possible move because bishop could take on d3, e take d3, and rook e8 with check. But something went wrong in this variation. So now I believe that Sun Chao is okay in this position. Of course, e4 is a very good move. He's attacking bishop on f5. What about rook e8 with the pin on this pawn? Dmitry is wasting his time. He has just less than 3 minutes. And I believe that his position is worse. But he found this good move right now. f3 should Sun Chao play, and this move has been played. f3 with an attack on knight on g4 and protecting pawn on e4. So I believe that just extra pawn for white. So white has very good chances to win this position. So what counterplay can Dmitry make right now in this position? Not so easy to find good ways. Maybe knight e3, the possible variant to play. Knight f6 is played. I believe it is not the best possible move right now. Maybe even g4 is possible for Sun Chao, but maybe king f2 or long castling, bishop e6. So just extra pawn for Sun Chao. Very good play from Chinese player. Very good play. Has extra pawn and very good chances to win this position, but he has to play very good right now. Maybe knight f4 is possible, or knight c5 is even better, so bishop has to go back to c8 square. Very good play from Sun Chao. Let's remember this player. He is very good. We can say that there are a lot of good and even great Chinese players. It is one of the most great countries in chess. So there are a lot of grandmasters. Most of them are very famous chess world. So something has changed in this position. Knight goes to e5 was the last move. Right now, maybe just bishop g2 protecting pawn on f3. Why not? Sun Chao has to play faster, I believe. He has winning position, and the opponent has no counterplay. So I believe that he has just to play faster. Because if he will waste a lot of time, he can give his opponent some chances to make some counterplay. f4, I believe, is not the best possible move. Bishop b5. Bishop b5, rook e7. Right now, knight f2 is a serious threat for black. So Sun Chao is trying to find the best possible way to prevent it. I believe that rook e1 should be played, rook from d1 to e1, rook d2. And what about b6? What about b6? Yeah, attacking knight on c5, and if knight goes back to d3, maybe rook can just take on e4 square. So maybe it was just a blunder, or right now maybe bishop c6, of course, is possible. Bishop c6, I believe, was the best move, attacking rook on a8 square. Knight goes back to d3, and what about rook e4 right now? Maybe then bishop c6. Something like that. Yeah, maybe it is a possible way for Sun Chao. So Dmitry is calculating these variations. I believe he wants to take pawn on e4, but he understands that bishop c6 will be played, rook b8 and d6, discovered attack. So he decided to play bishop b7. Bishop b7, very good move, of course. h3, but what about h3? h3, knight goes back to f6. So rook e1 is played by Sun Chao. Both players are going into some time troubles. So Dmitry is thinking, Dmitry is calculating some variations. He needs to find counter play. What about a6? a6 is a possible way. Why not? Dmitry, you have to play faster. You have to play faster. a6. So bishop c6 is the only move because bishop c4 is not possible because of b5. Maybe, but what about knight c5? Yeah, knight c5 also possible for Sun Chao in that variant. So a6, bishop c6, I believe would be played by Sun Chao. Bishop c6. Bishop c4 maybe also is possible. But b5 and knight c5. Knight c5 attacking bishop on b7 square. So bishop c6 is played by Sun Chao. It is the most logical move. Bishop takes c6, d takes c6. Everything is okay. What about rook e6? Yeah, rook e6 attacking pawn on c6 square. So rook c2. Yeah, rook c2, just protecting this pawn. So what next for Dmitry? He has to find some counter play. Rook d8, attacking knight on d3, but what about knight b4, a5, and well, great play from Dmitry because knight d5 was not possible because of rook takes d5 and pin on rook on e1. So knight goes to a6, but what about rook e7? And right now, maybe rook a8 is a very serious threat. So Sun Chao has to find a very good way to defend it. Maybe b4. b4 is the only move to prevent this idea, prevent losing of a knight on a6. So b4 should be played for Sun Chao. b4 and on rook a8, b5 should be played, protecting knight on a6. Something like that is possible. b4 is played by Sun Chao, very good play from him. So what can Dmitry do right now? A takes b4, knight will take on b4, or something about another moves. Well, maybe, yeah, rook g2 is also possible. Rook can take on d2, king will take on d2, pawn on b4 is under attack. Something went wrong in this game for Sun Chao. He had totally winning position, but now Dmitry has some practical chances to escape in this position right now. But Dmitry is wasting a lot of time, so both players goes into time trouble. Just 20 seconds left for Dmitry. 34 for Sun Chao. Rook a8, attacking knight. Knight takes b4. Maybe rook a4. Yeah, just attacking knight on b4. So what about rook b2? Just rook b2, or maybe even knight d5 is possible, but rook b2 is the most logical in this position. Just protecting. Knight goes to d5. Rook will take on e4. Rook has to take. The only possible move. Dmitry, 8 seconds for him. 5 seconds left. Rook c4, rook c2, rook takes c2, and rook goes to e6. Very good defense from Dmitry. So now knight cannot take on c7 square because of a double attack. Rook will take on c6 square. So knight b4, just protecting. Knight h2. So some interesting play in this position. e5. What would be the result? Very interesting game in such time trouble. Rook d1, rook d7 is the main idea in this position for Sun Chao. f6 has been played by Dmitry Rostovtsev. Sun Chao is thinking. 11 seconds for him. Rook d1. F takes e5, rook d7, king will go to f6 maybe, or to, but right now maybe even knight d5 is possible. But yeah, rook takes c7, e4. Wow, wonderful counterplay. Knight d5, king goes to f5, rook f7. No, knight a3. And what next? g4 with an idea. g5, checkmate. h6, h6, just h6. Dmitry, you have to protect from g5. Yeah, very good play. Very good. Checkmate on d5. Wow. So, wow, a very interesting game. Very good candidate for the game of the day. Very good. The first game and very good one. Very beautiful checkmate for Sun Chao. So now let's watch some our games. Maybe this one. Yeah, why not? So Gao Xinmin against Aram Yano. Spanish opening, classical variations. Castling for white b5, b3. So right now bishop will go to e7 square. Rook e1, castling. So c3, d5, d5. Very interesting and modern variation. c6. So white has extra pawn, but black has some wonderful counter chances on the king side of the board. So white pieces on the queen side are not developed right now. It is very good compensation. It's very modern variation as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a specialist in Spanish opening, but I know these variations. Queen goes to h3 square. I believe it is a theory, still a theory. Bishop goes to e3. Strange move. Pretty strange move for Gao Xinmin. Bishop goes to g7. What about f3? Yeah. Oh, queen goes to d3. And now on bishop f3, queen f1 was a very good defense. But Aram decided to play rook a8. Rook e8. Knight goes to d2 square. So, very interesting play from Gao Xinmin. Very good play. Well, it is one of the most one of the highest rated players in Chinese team and one of the oldest players in the Chinese team. This player is 18 years old. 92, and Aram is thinking what to do next. He has to find some opportunities to make counterplay, to make some attack on the king side of the board, and he is thinking about that. Bishop f5 maybe. Just bishop f5 because white squares on the king side are very weak right now, and Aram has to find a good way to use it. And right now rook e6 with an idea. Not so easy to understand the idea. Maybe just to take on e3 and then rook h6, attacking pawn on h2 square. Maybe something like that is planned by Aram. So now Gao is thinking. Bishop takes d5. He will take on d5. What Aram is thinking about? Yeah, c takes d5. This was the only move. So f4, very interesting. So right now, extra pawn for white, 2 bishops for black, and some compensation without a doubt. So right now, double rooks on e line. So what about bishop f2? Yeah, just with an idea to exchange these strong rooks. Very interesting. But right now, maybe bishop f4. Bishop f4 can be played by Aram. There is a pin on pawn on g3. What about bishop f4, Aram? Aram decided to play bishop e2. Queen goes to c2 square. You know, bishop on e2 is a very strong piece. Something like, you know, something like in the game Karpov and Seeker, something like that. So, very interesting play from Aram. He decided to attack. And what about rook g6? Bishop g3. I believe that rook g3 will come here. H takes g3, queen takes g3. King h1 and next. Rook e6. Rook e6. Rook h6 is a very serious threat. And I believe it is a victory, very good victory for Aram, for our famous player. I believe it is Aram Yeritsan, the highest rated player in Moscow chess team right now in this match. So, Gao decided to resign, very good win from Aram. Congratulations to him, and let's watch this game. Corel chess against Jan Bokai. Corel chess, Yegor Karelsky, one of the most talented, one of the most youngest players in Moscow chess team. Also Spanish opening, the same variation maybe we should see in this game. So the game continues like in the previous one. Let's find some information about the Chinese player. So, yeah, 15 years old, young Bokai, very good and young and talented Chinese player. Very good rating. So d4 was played by Yegor Karelsky. And now what should be played for young Bokai? He should take on d4 or not? Take or not to take? He decided to take on d4, knight takes on d4. I believe that bishop b7 or bishop d7 would be played for young Bokai. Bishop d7 is one of the most logical moves in this position, just to protect knight on c6 square. Because, well, there is, you know, maybe it was a blunder d4, because right now knight can take on d4, queen takes d4 and c5. What about c5 and c4? Maybe it was just a blunder by Yegor Karelsky. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4, c5, c5, c4. And what to do with bishop on b3? Bishop b7, why not c5? Why not c5, c4? And c4 is played by Yegor Karelsky. Very good, very good. So there was a blunder, of course, but young Bokai didn't found that move. So now right now castling for black. C takes b5, a takes b5. Most logical move. I don't understand what he's thinking about. So a takes b5. Yeah, knight goes to c3. And now there are some problems with pawn on b5. It is under attack. What to do with it? Not easy to understand. Maybe bishop b6, c6 right now. Bishop c6. One of the most logical moves, just to protect pawn. Why not? So, Yegor is playing very fast. He has more than 5 minutes and just 3 minutes for young Bokai. So, c5, queen d1, and what next move for black? b4. b4 is one of the most logical. If you played c5 before, c4 is the only opportunity to play right now. So c4 is played. Bishop c2 and maybe bishop c6, just bishop c6. So pawn on d6. Pawn on d6 is very weak for black, but right now it is very well protected with bishop and queen. But bishop on e7 is not a very good piece. He has no free moves. He has no free squares to go somewhere. So I believe that white has some advantage here. Now pawn on e4 is very good and is very strong. So young Bokai is still thinking he has to play faster. Just 2 minutes left for him. 3 extra minutes for Yegor Karelsky. Rook e8 is played. It is one of the most logical ideas in this position. You know, bishop f4, trying maybe to attack pawn on d6. What about bishop f8? And why not? Why Igor decided not to take pawn on b5? I cannot explain his decision. Not so easy to understand that. Bishop f8, and why not to take pawn on b5? Right now I understand, because pawn on e4 is under attack. But maybe pawn on d6 also is under attack right now. So Igor decided to take pawn on b5. Somebody will take on e4 square, and Igor will take on e6. Very logical play, but what about bishop e4 right now? Bishop e4 is the only move for young Bokai. Bishop e4, knight takes e4. He's trying to protect pawn on this fix, but bishop takes e4. What about bishop takes e4? And what next? Bishop takes e4. And with whom Igor has to take on d6 with bishop? Yeah, he decided to take with bishop. It's a very logical play from him. So maybe right now knight c7 is something like a threat. So just 1 minute for young Bakai. I believe he should play faster, because it is not so easy position to play, and he has not very much time. So 1 minute left for him. What he's thinking about right now? What he's trying to calculate? Queen g5 with an idea of checkmate. Yeah. But what about just bishop g3? Well, double attack. And right now, knight on b5, queen takes b5. What a pity for Yegor Karelski. Very fast play, but right now, young can just take on b5, and he will play with extra bishop, if I didn't blunder anything. Just 40 seconds left for young Bokai. But queen can just take on b5, as far as I'm concerned. Why he's not making this move? I don't understand. Maybe he's trying to calculate some variations. Maybe he's trying to find some counterplay. But I don't see any counter chances in this position. Rook d8. But what about queen a4 right now? Queen a4 and maybe bishop c6, yeah? We played right now knight d4. And what about bishop c5? With an attack on the knight. Just less than 20 seconds left for young Bokai. 10 seconds left for him. He has to play fast or he will lose on time. Bishop c5, yeah. And how to protect knight on d4. Knight f3. Great defense from Yegor Karelski. Very good defense from him. Rook takes d1. Knight will take on g5. Rook will take on a1 maybe, yeah? Rook has to take on a1. Just 2 seconds left for young. And he lost on time. Yeah. Very slow play from Chinese player, and he lost on time in pretty good position. So let's move to another game. Let's switch to another game. What about... Let's find some interesting games. Something interesting. Maybe let's take this one. Sun Chao against Alex Fedosov. Last move was, I believe that Sun Chao took bishop on g7, and Fedosov Alex took on g7 with the king. So Fedosov Alexander, yeah, he is Alexander. His name is Alexander. So Rook c1 is played by Sun Chao. Sun Chao, you know, it is also one of the highest rated player in Chinese team. And one of the oldest. He is 18 years old. So he has a lot of experience. Alexander Fedosov is one of the youngest players in Moscow chess team. So very good play from Sun Chao, but what about queen d6 right now? Rook on c7, of course, is very strong, but what about queen d6? Queen d6, just queen d6. Queen d6 and everything will be okay for Alex Fedosov. Yeah, he made this move. And what to do next for Sun Chao? So I believe that the rook has to go back, something like rook c2. Yeah, maybe rook c2, because the queen cannot protect this rook on c7. Maybe bishop e2 will be played in that line. But Sun Chao is thinking maybe queen a1, or queen a1 is a possible line, you know. Queen a1, check. I believe we'll go to g8, something like that, or e5 maybe would be played. And rook f to c1. But bishop will take on a2 in that line, so very principled decision. And Sun Chao played queen a1. So I believe king g8 or e5 should be played for Alexander Fedosov. Come on, Alexander, just don't waste time right here. King g8, very logical move. Knight goes to e6. I don't like this move because knight is under pin, so very strange decision from young Russian player. Right now, what should be played for Sun Chao? Rook c1, rook f to c1, and you know, rook will go to c6 on the next move. But he has to calculate bishop e2 variant. So Sun Chao, I believe, is trying to calculate that. But you know, also just rook c2 is possible. Rook c2 and then rook f to c1. Rook c2 is a very logical way to protect pawn on e2 square. So Sun Chao has better chances in this position as far as I'm concerned. I believe he will play rook c2. Rook c2, yeah, right now. Very solid play from Chinese player. So what opportunities Alexander Fedosov has in this position? Rook c8, just to exchange rooks. Why not? Maybe e5 also is possible, but rook c8 is played. Very logical play. Rook c1, and right now rook will take on c2, rook c2, and rook c8 one more time, just to exchange all rooks. So Alex is thinking about his next move. He's thinking about maybe even his next plan. He has a good position, very solid position. But he's wasting some time, some seconds. 3 minutes left for him, 2 minutes left for Sun Chao. So we can conclude that Chinese players play slower than Russian players. But in some moments they're playing better. Rook c2, and rook c8. Yeah, very technical decision from Alexander Fedosov. Rook takes on c8, bishop takes c8. What next plan for Sun Chao? How he can play in this position? Maybe queen c3 is a very good way. Queen c3 just to attack bishop on c8 square and preparing knight c5. Something like that should be played, I believe. Or maybe queen c1 with the same idea, but I believe he will play queen c3. Queen c3 will be played. It is one of the most logical decisions in this position. But Sun Chao is thinking. So let's try to understand what he's thinking about. e3 is played by Sun Chao. Right now, queen c6. is a nice try. Or just bishop d7. Bishop d7. Trying to exchange bishop on knight and make double pawns for white. So yeah, bishop d7 is played by Alexander Fedosov. Very good play from him. Right now, what should be played? Maybe queen d4. You know, maybe queen d4 Sun Chao should play in this position. Queen d4 just to protect knight with the queen, and on e5, queen c5 is possible. So queen d4, I believe, is the best way to play in this position for Sun Chao, but he's thinking about less than a minute, just 45 seconds left for him, so he's going into time troubles, and he decided to go back. It is not the best possible decision, because now Alexander Fedosov has some initiative in this game. What can he do right now? I believe that he should play maybe king g8, why not? And then move some with knight. You know, queen e5 also possible way right now. Queen e5, why not? Queen e5. Queen c5. So there are a lot of good moves for Alexander Fedosov. I believe his position is even better right now because he has very good pawns in center, on d5 especially, but he has to play correctly. So Alexander is thinking what he's thinking about. He's wasting a lot of time. d4 right now, and what about knight e4? Yeah, knight e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4 and e5, or maybe f5 was also possible. So right now e takes d4 and queen takes d4. And right now, what should be played for Sun Chao? I believe that f4 will be played in this position. f4, just not let black king go to e5 square, and f4 is played by Sun Chao. So the next plan for him is just to play king f2, king e2, king d3, something like that. So very interesting endgame. Alexander is thinking bishop b5, king f2. Yeah, why not? Just king f2, king f6. So not so easy even to estimate this position, how to play in this position, and to understand that it is even much harder to understand. So bishop d5. Is an idea bishop c4? What is the idea with bishop c5? Sun Chao. So less than 30 seconds left for Sun Chao, for Chinese player, and he has to make this decision, and king goes to f3 with an idea, I believe. King e4, but what about d3? Yeah. So king d6. King d6 is not possible because pawn on f7 is under attack, so I believe that white has better chances to win this position. Right now, what about f6? Alexander, come on, let's play faster. f5. f5, not very good pawn structure for black, because white bishop can attack all pawns on the king side of the board. Just 10 seconds left for Chinese player. King f2. King d6 cannot be played because bishop g8. So Alexander, king d6. But what about bishop g8? So bishop g8. 30 seconds left for Alexander Fedosov. And he has to find some counterplay, or he will lose all his pawns on the king side of the board. Something went wrong in this game. King e2, very technical decision. a3, something is going on in this game. We're both in time trouble. h6. Very interesting. Very interesting. Maybe h4. something like that. B4 is played by Sun Chao. So they have equal time, both players. And now, the most critical moment of this game. Who will win it? Just 5 seconds left for Alexander Fedosov. He is going to King b5, Bishop b3, protecting from King a4. 3 seconds left for Alexander Fedosov. a5, very good play. He takes a5, King takes a5, but King d3. King d3, and I believe it is all over. And right now, King e5, King f6. What a pity for young Russian player. So he lost this game. King e6, technical play from Chinese player, and King will go to e7. It was even better as far as I'm concerned. And right now, Bishop f7, and it's all over in this game. Yeah, so Alex has to resign in this game. Bishop takes g7. Next, he will take bishop on f5, and right now g4, g5, g6. So, very good play from both players, but the Chinese player was stronger right now. King e3, King f5, e5, and right now g4, g5, yeah. g4, g5, h takes g5, f takes g5. Bishop goes to g6 square, h4. And King g3, so maybe there are some practical chances for Alexander Fedosov right now, but h5, strange move, a4, so King h4, King will go to f6, yeah, and it's all over because g6, g7, and Sun Chao will win this position. So a5, King e3, and it's all over in this game. So nothing very interesting in this game. So let's switch to another one. Right now, let's watch what is going on in this tournament. The Moscow team right now is winning, but there are some very good players in Chinese team. So let's watch this one. Chen Kailin against AVK. AVK is Artem Knyazev, one of the best players in current Moscow chess team. Chen Kailin has found information. So it is a young and talented player, very talented player. It is the highest rated player in Chinese chess team. So his rating is much is above than 2000. So, but AVK also is a very strong player. Artem Knyazev is very strong. So let's watch this position right now. Talk about this position. I believe that White has some better chances in it because as far as I'm concerned, they have extra pawn, and well, but Artyom's he's extraordinary in chess tactics. So knight e4 in dynamic, he is also very good. I played several games with him, so I know what I'm talking about. So, but what about rook h2? Maybe it was not the best possible move, not the best possible idea to make the move on e4 on the previous move. So right now, just what about rook h2? Why not rook h2 for Chen Kailin? He's a very young player, so just 13 years old. Bishop d3. Artem decided not to take on h1 square. He decided to play d5. Very good move. So right now it is a discovered attack on the queen on a3. Queen goes to b3, and right now Artem decided to take on h1. So rook will take on h1 and e5. Very active play from AVK. What about knight e6? What about that move? I still believe that white should be very good right here. How exactly they win this position, not so easy to understand that. Knight goes to e6, attacking queen on d8. Queen will go somewhere, maybe to d7 or to d6. I believe that Artyom will play queen d6. Come on, Artyom, queen d6, because on queen d7 there is such a move like something like knight b6. So Artyom decided to play queen d6. Very fast play from both players. Knight goes to g5, bishop takes g5, bishop takes g5, and e4 is played in this position. Attacking bishop on d3, bishop goes to b5. What about something like rook b8? Why not rook b8? Come on, Artyom. Let's make a pin on this bishop. Let's make a pin. So, what he's thinking about, less than a minute for Chen Kailin and more than 4 minutes for AVK. He's playing really fast. He's very good in blitz, but his position is not so easy to play right now. Chen Kailin, just 30 seconds left. Bishop e8. Wow. So what we can see on board right now, chaos on board. What about rook b3? Rook b7 even played by AVK. How to understand what's going on in this position? Queen c3. Why not queen c3? Yeah, queen c3. And rook takes on e8 square. h6 with some attacking ideas for Chen Kailin. And I believe that Artyom will play d4. I believe that he will play d4. Yeah, Artyom decided to make this move. Queen will go to c4, king will go to h8, and h will take on g7 with check. Oh, maybe not, maybe something about... Maybe something about knight c5 or queen c5, yeah. Knight goes to c5, and what about rook c7? What about rook c7? How to protect it? Rook h takes g7 right now. Rook takes g7. Less than 10 seconds for Chen Kailin. Bishop goes back to d2 square, e3. Bishop will take on a5. So AVK has good chances, maybe even to win this position, but how exactly he can do that? I believe that e3 was not the best possible move. Queen goes to c6. And right now, rook on h1 is under attack. Rook e1. Rook will go to c8 or something like that, yeah? So, come on, Artyom, let's play faster. Or rook g5. You know, even rook g5 or rook e5. Rook e5. Yeah, rook e5. Was okay, but what about queen d4? Queen d4, but Chen Kailin decided to play knight d3, also very logical, also very solid play from young Chinese player. Queen g5, attacking bishop on a5, so bishop goes back to b4. Just 8 seconds left for Chen Kailin. Very hard to play this position for him, but e2, discovered attack for Artyom Knyazev. Bishop defense, d2, queen h4, c3. Why c3? What is the idea? What is the idea of c3? And what about d8? Maybe something like that. Or rook e4. Rook e4. I believe rook e4 will be played for Artyom Knyazev. Logical move, but he decided to play rook d7. Knight goes to c5 square right now, attacking rook on d7. So maybe rook on d7 was a mistake. Rook d6, queen f7. Wow, very fast, very good play in this such time trouble. Very good play for Chinese player. Rook g8, something like that. Yeah, queen will go to f3. Do you think c takes d4? Well, c takes d4. And now nobody can take on d4 because of the pin bishop c3. So rook f6 and queen e7. I believe white position is totally winning. Well, I don't see any. Well, maybe rook g1. What about rook g1? Come on, rook g1, and let's calculate some variations. Come on, Artyom, let's make some problems for Chinese player. Rook g1, and rook f1. But of course, there are some possible checks for Chen Kailin. So Artyom is thinking about his next move. Rook g1. Rook g1, queen e2 will be played, yeah. Maybe just the best possible way to defend. But rook g1, Artyom, it's the only way to make some counterplay, to make some problems for very good, very solid Chinese players. Also, very good game, also a candidate for the game of the day. So Artyom is thinking about his next move. Just 1 minute left for him. Very interesting game. But I believe he's losing. h6 is played. I cannot understand the idea. But Chen Kailin. Queen takes e2. So what about counter chances for Knyazhev Artyom? Rook f8 with something. Have two ideas, but right now bishop c3 and very serious threat d5. So I believe that the game is all over right now because d5 is a very serious threat. Maybe king h7 is the only defense. So come on, Artyom, let's play king h7. You have to make some problems for your opponent. Queen g5, queen d2. Queen goes to d5 square. King b1. Rook f1. Come on, Artyom. Rook f1, but king goes to h7. Queen d3, attacking king on h7. Well, king h8, king e4. So, some technical problems for Chen Kailin in this position. But 30 seconds left for Artyom Knyazhev. So, you remember he had even 3 or 4 extra minutes in this game, but now time is rather equal. And now queen e5 with an idea to exchange queens, and I believe they would be exchanged. Or queen c7, queen can just take on c7. Like, why queen e6? Queen could take on c7. Queen h7 right now. King a1. Of course, it is also winning position for Chen Kailin in d5. Yeah, it's all over. d5, queen c2, d6, queen b8. What is the idea? How to win this position? Bishop f6, rook f6. Yeah, and it's all over. Just extra... a lot of extra material and checkmate on g7. Very good play. Very good play we saw right now. And let's switch to another one. Let's switch to another one. Let's find some interesting games. Let's watch this one. Maxim Frolov against Ma Lin. He is also a very good Chinese player, you know. Also 18 years old players and also player with very high rating. His rating is above 2000. So also very good player for Chinese team. So something like Queen's Gambit, except it was played. Knight goes to c3, attacking pawn on b5. So what should be played for Ma Lin? Maybe just c6, just to protect this pawn, or b4. c6 is pretty passive, but b4 is rather active play, and Ma Lin decided to play c6 just to protect pawn on b5. Knight goes to e5. What is the idea of this move? And what if just e6? So just e6 for Malin, and he can just develop bishop on d6, knight on f6, and castling, something like that. What do you think about that? Opportunity to play for Malin. He has an extra pawn. Very good chances, but knight goes to d7. Why not? Also very good decision. So exchanging of knights, knight d7, queen takes d7, a takes b5, c takes b5, f3. f3, maybe next move will be e4 or something like that. So what should be played for Malin? Knight f6, he is just going to develop bishop on e7 maybe, or on b4. So bishop b4, bishop e7 is pretty passive. So not very active play from a Chinese player in this particular game, but very solid. So we can conclude that the Chinese players play very solid in this match. So castling, rook d8, queen c2. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just extra pawn for black. So they have very good opportunity to win this game. Queen c7. Queen c7. It's so easy, you know, even to find a good move for Maxim Frolov. So I believe that he lost pawn in the opening, and now he's in a very bad position. He has a lot of problems right now. So bishop goes back to f2, and right now what? Knight b4, something, or knight f4. So there are a lot of ways for Malin. So I believe knight b4 will be played for Chinese player, but he decided to play b4 with the pawn. I believe it is one of the first, even maybe the only active decision, but very good one for Chinese player. But right now, Maxim decided to play knight e4, and Malin plays knight f4. Bishop f1 is played by Maxim Frolov. And what about b3? What about b3? Why not? So just b3 can be played for Malin. a5, also very nice try to win this position. b3, and what on c3? c3, c takes b3. Everything is good for black. So what should be played? c3 or c takes b3? So I believe c3 will be played for Malin. No, I didn't guess his move. C takes b3, queen takes b3, and bishop d5. Bishop d5 is one of the most logical moves in this position. Bishop goes to c6 with an idea to move pawn to a4 square. Very good play from Chinese player, I have to say that. What about rook c1 right now? With some ideas to pin this bishop, but Maxim decided to play g3 just to attack knight on f4. a4 is played by Malin, so queen has to go somewhere. Queen goes to b1, and knight will go back to d5 square. Yeah, and maybe there are some ideas of knight c3. Not right now, but in the near future. So rook c1, queen will go to b6. Come on, Malin. Let's just play queen b6 or queen a5, something like that. Queen b7 here, also very logical. Very good play from Chinese player. Knight c5. What? Bishop takes c5, rook takes c5, and knight goes to c3 square, and totally winning position for black right now. So now queen is under attack, pawn on f3 is under attack, and everything is bad for Maxim Frolov. So I believe that Malin will take on f3 with bishop and just win this game. F3, rook takes c8, rook takes c8, yeah, queen e3. And the bishop can just go back to d5 or to c6, why not? So b3 with an idea, b2, b1, why not? And how to protect against this idea. I believe it is a very concrete play. Bishop a6. But what about queen a6, queen f3, and b2? The game is all over, of course, so Mali just has to calculate variations. Very careful. And everything will be okay for him. b2 right now, wow. Interesting. Interesting play, rook e1, and queen will take on a6. Come on. Come on, Malin, you have to take on a6 square. Queen takes a6, queen f3, and b1. So, yeah, Maxim decided to resign. Not very good opening from him, so the game was ended in, say. Let's find some other interesting games, for example, this one, and one more time, Malin, okay, why not? Very good play from him, why not to watch this player one more time? But now he's playing against Khachaturian Marietta, very young, very talented girl. Knight goes to c3, a6, some classical variations in this opening. Knight goes to h4. Something modern, you know, very modern play from Khachaturian Marietta. Bishop goes to b4. What about knight takes a5 and bishop d3, yeah? D takes c4, bishop will take where? On f5 or on c4? On c4. So castling. Castling will be played for Malin, but everything is okay in this position for Marietta. Very good. c5. Interesting. Castling. C takes d4, e takes d4. So weak pawn on d4, bishop g5. Very active play from Marietta. Very good, very active play. Now, maybe even knight d5 is a very serious threat. h6 is played by Malin, so I believe bishop will take on f6 and knight will go to d5. Yeah, queen goes to d6 just with an idea to protect bishop on b4. So right now, what should be played for Marietta? She needs a very good plan to find, and a3 is played by Marietta. Bishop will go to a5. I think it is the only move in this position. Or maybe rook c8, of course, was a possible idea, but Malin decided to play bishop a5, very logical. What about b4 right now? b4, bishop d8, but Marietta decided to attack pawn on f5 square, also very logical decision. So queen f3 is played. Right now g6. g6 is very principled. So Malin has to protect pawn, but knight goes to c6. Very good defense, you know. The best defense is attack. So knight attacks pawn on d4. Queen takes f5. Knight takes d4, queen g4. Queen g4. What about? I believe that knight will go back to c6 right now. Yeah, knight will go back to c6. So, Malin, don't be scared. Everything is okay. Queen g4 is attacking your knight, so your knight has to go back to c6, and knight c6 is played by Malin. So, maybe rook d1 is an idea for Marietta with some ideas of discovered attack, but it's not so easy to find a good move or knight then after rook d1. So, but I believe rook d1 is one of the most principal moves in this position, so Marietta will make it. Rook d1, very strong knight on d5, so I believe that white has some better chances in this position, maybe some attacking ideas, but not so easy to convert this position into something more than just advantage. So rook d1, come on Marietta, don't waste your time, just let's play like that. Rook d1 is played by Marietta. It was not very hard to guess this move. So right now, where is the only threat? The only threat is knight b6. So maybe right now, knight e5. Yeah, knight e5. Knight c4 would be played. Knight c4 for Malin. Yeah, it is played. And right now, what next? Rook c8. Rook c8 for Malin, just to attack queen on c4. Why not? 25 minutes left in our tournament. Rook d8 is played by Malin, also very logical way. So, what can Marietta do right now in this position? Maybe b4? Why not b4? b4? Oh, come on, Marietta. b4 is played by Khachaturian Marietta, very good play. Bishop b6 is the only move right now in this position, and I believe the game will be ended in a draw after knight b6, queen b6. The position would be very equal. So Malin is thinking what he's thinking about. His bishop is under attack also. Bishop goes back to b6 square. Everything is okay. Yeah, right now. What can Marietta do? No, Marietta decided not to take bishop on b6. She decided to make one more logical move. Rook e1, and right now, you know, there is a serious threat. But maybe not so serious, because knight e7 is not very serious threat, because queen can take on e7 and rook will not take on e7, because rook d1 with some checkmate ideas or with ideas to win some material, something like that. So Malin can play, think about bishop a7. Why not? Bishop a7. Logical move for Malin, but he decided to play king h8. Very good. Very technical decision from him. And right now, what can Marietta do in this position? I believe knight queen f4 will be played, or something like queen f4, yeah. Or h3, or maybe g3. g3. g3 or queen f4 will be played. Queen g4. I missed one square. What a pity for me. So queen g4, the idea is pretty simple, just to protect rook on d1 square. But what about f5? What about f5 with some active ideas for Malin? But Malin decided to play rook e8. Rook e8, rook takes e8, rook takes e8, and knight goes back to e3 square. Maybe next move is knight f5 with some attacking ideas. Malin has 2 minutes left. Marietta has 1 extra minute. So what can Malin do right now? What he's thinking about? You know, maybe there are a lot of very good moves, right? Something like queen e6, just queen e6 with an idea to exchange queens from board. Queen e5, also nice try, but right now, what can be played for Marietta? Knight on e3 is under attack and it cannot go anywhere except c2, but what he is doing on c2, not so easy to understand. So, knight c4 is not possible because of queen e1 and checkmate. After rook e1, rook e1. So the first rank is very weak for Marietta, so I believe that Malin has better chances to win this position. So Marietta, you have to do something. It's not so easy to understand what to do, yeah? So, Marietta, h4 maybe, with some ideas to go into rook ending without a pawn, something like that. Or not h4, maybe queen f3. Queen f3 was my idea. Or maybe just queen f5 with the same ideas to go into rook ending without a pawn. But Marietta is spending a lot of time. She's trying to find a good way to protect knight on e3. What about rook e1? But maybe f5 will be played here, yeah? On f5 with an idea f4, so very good play. And the knight goes back to f1, and now it goes without saying that black position is better. Because bishop on b6 is much better than knight on f1. So white has worse position. So Marietta made something wrong. So what can Malin do right now? Maybe something like queen b2. Why not queen b2 with double attack on pawn on a3 and pawn on f2? Very interesting idea for Malin, just to play queen b2. Why not? Queen e2 is played. Some exchanging ideas, and it's also very good, yeah. It's also very good. Queen takes e2, rook takes e2, and rook d2, bishop f2, king h1, rook takes d2, the knight takes d2. So now there is an ending bishop against knight and one extra pawn for black. So great chances to win this position for Malin and bring his team 2 more extra points. Or maybe even 4 points if Malin is on fire now. So just 30 seconds left for Malin, so he's in time trouble. King g8, knight c4 with an idea to play knight a5 or knight d6, king f8. So Malin is not afraid of an idea knight d6 or knight a5. So I believe g4 or g3 should be played for Marietta with an idea king g2, king f3, king e4, something like that. a4. Why Marietta is playing only with pawns? King e7, knight will go to a5 right now. I believe that was the idea. But was it a good one or a bad one? So g3 right now is played, but king e6, king e6, king d5, king g2, and right now maybe no, king d5 maybe is not the best possible move because of knight a5, but bishop d4 is very solid, very logical move for Malin. So everything is okay for Chinese player. He has very good chances to win this position. Goes without doubt that extra pawn can bring him this win. So a b5, a will take on b5, or maybe right now something like king d5, attacking knight on c4. Why not? So Malin, but play faster or you will lose on time. A takes b5, a takes b5, king d5, attacking knight on c4. Knight has to go somewhere. I believe to a5 squared, b6, yeah. Knight goes to c6, and what next for Malin? Maybe just bishop f6, very technical decision, and now knight cannot go to c6 square. Knight goes to a7, protecting pawn on b5. Very good defense from Marietta. Now Malin is trying to win this position. Bishop will go to g1 square. No, to pawn moves to h5. King goes to f5. So just 6 seconds left for Malin. He is in a huge time trouble. Bishop f6. King e4, and how to win this position? Not so easy to understand, not so easy to play this position for black. So Marietta has good practical chances to escape, or maybe even to win this position. Why not? Everything can be happening in this game. So h3, knight goes to, oh well, that was a blunder, I believe. Yeah, Marietta blundered. Why you are playing so fast, Marietta? And now bishop b8, yeah. Bishop b8, but knight will go back to c6 square. So right now bishop c6, king f7, king b5. Or g5, yeah, well, g5 also is very good try to, also very good way to win this position. And I don't see any opportunity how to stop this pawn. Knight cannot help, king cannot help. Well, knight d8 is the only opportunity. Well, knight e6, h takes g4, h takes g4. So 2 extra pawns for Malin. Of course, he will win this position, because he is winning knight right now. So very good technique for Malin. I believe that was the game of the day. So let's remember Khachaturian Marietta against Malin. So of course it goes without saying that Malin will win this position. So easy win for him, b3, b2, b1 queen, and it's all over. So let's switch to another game. Marietta decided to resign. Very good decision from her. And let's switch to our game. What about this one? Li Guahao against Alexei Panishkin. Bishop d6, so I believe that white position is quite solid, quite strong, and white has better chances in this position because pawn on d5 is pretty weak. Queen goes to e2 square. Just 15 minutes left in our tournament, so our tournament is going to the end. Moscow team right now is winning, but everything can happen in this match. So queen goes to ba, knight goes to g4 square. Very solid play from Li Guahao. Knight f5, knight goes to f5, knight, bishop takes f5, bishop takes f5, and I believe black position is much worse because pawn on d5 is very weak and white just has two strong bishops. So I believe that white has very, very strong advantage right here. So bishop h4 is played by Li Guahao. The idea? No. How to protect this position by Alexei? Let's find some ways for him. Pawn on d5 is very weak, but right now Li cannot take it because rook c1, rook c1. But you know, maybe rook c5, yeah, is one of the best moves in this position. And what about bishop d7? So Alexei has to take with knight, yeah. And so he has a very bad position right now. And right now, rook d5. Rook d5 and everything is all over in this game. What a pity for Alexei. So, Li Guahao, 17 years old player, the second rank in the Chinese chess team. So, and the game is going to the end, but there is no checkmate right now, maybe, but just e4 is possible to play for white because the square on c1 is under the control of the rook from c8. So just e4 possible for Li Guahao, but he decided to make move queen b3. Why not? Queen e5 is the only opportunity for Alexei Panishkin to make some counter plays, to find some counter chances. But what about just f4 or maybe g3? But you know, pawn on b2 is under attack. So maybe he found some counter chances. You know that this is a very interesting position right now, but how to protect. Of course, not so easy to understand this position for Alexei Panichkin. E4 with an idea, E5, very technical play from Ligua House. So right now, Queen A1, King H2. And what next? What next? E5 is a very serious threat. G6 is played, but it was not the best possible decision as far as I'm concerned, because right now knight will go to F6 square with wrong attack. So Alexei's bishop has to go somewhere, and he had even no empty squares, you know. So now Alexei decided to play bishop E5. If EF will take on E5, queen takes on E5, and just king G1. But what about queen F1? Right now, queen F1, yeah, and there are no checks. So right now knight can go somewhere, maybe to F6, yeah, very good, and knight G4, yeah. Knight G4 should be played for Ligua House, so I believe that very good, very solid play from him. Let's watch his last move. Okay, and I believe that he will win this game if he will not blunder rook on C8 square. Let's watch until he made this last move. Queen C1, very logical decision. So he protects queen on C8 square, and I believe he will convert his position into a point. So let's watch another game. Something even more interesting. We didn't see such a good player like Sasha Orlov in Moscow chess team. So he's playing against one of the best players in Chinese team, Sun Chao. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, C4 is possible for Chinese good players. C4 is played, attacking bishop on D3, so bishop E4 is the only logical move for Alexander Orlov. Sun Chao decided to play bishop takes E4, and right now Queen A4. Queen A4 check. Double attack, but knight C6 is the only opportunity, and castling. So maybe it is not so easy position to understand what is going on. Right now, bishop on E4 is under attack, but of course he's under protection of the pawn on D5. But well, bishop D3, very good move. Yeah, very technical decision from Sun Chao. Of course, his position should be better right now. What can Alexander do? How can he protect his position? How can he do that? Maybe queen b5? What about queen b5 with double attack? Rook e1 is played by Alexander Orlov, also a good defensive decision. Right now a6, I believe, will be played for queen d7. Or a6. I believe a6 is one of the most logical decisions in this position, just to prevent queen b5, and with an idea to play b5. So I believe Sun Chao will play a6 or queen d7. Queen d7 or a6 should be played for Sun Chao. So let's watch. Let's just wait until his move. Just 7 minutes left in our tournament, so everything is going to the end. Sun Chao is thinking right now. H5. Very hard to predict this move. But what about H3? Yeah, why not H3? What is your plan, Sun Chao? Explain us, please. So, and I believe the Chinese player has to play faster because he has 1 minute down. He has less than 3 minutes. Alexander Orlov has little more than 4 minutes. Bishop takes on e2. Rook takes on e2. Something strange decisions for Sun Chao. I believe that that was a wrong plan for him. So h5, bishop e2. Something went wrong in this game for him. f5. And right now, bishop e5, very good play from Alexander Orlov. I believe he is better right now even. And right now, queen b5. Queen b5 right now. Come on, Alexander, it is a very good time to play. Queen b5 with an attack on pawn on b7 and d5. So bishop will take on c3, bit will take on c3. Castling was the last move for Sun Chao. But his king is very, very weak. And right now, Alexander, come on, let's play Queen b5. Let's make some problems for your opponent. Yeah, Queen b5. Very good play from Alexander Orlov. He is attacking pawns on d5 and b7. And right now the only decision is bishop c3, b takes c3, and queen d7. So now knight e5 is a threat, but Alexander played very well. Rook b1. Rook b1, attacking pawn on b7, but b6 can be played, yeah. b6, just b6. 5 minutes left, so not very much time to play in our tournament. So 2 minutes left in this game for Sun Chao, more than 3 minutes for Alexander Orlov. Rook f7 was the last move played by Sun Chao. He's protecting pawn on b7, but Alexander decided to put even more pressure on this pawn on b7, so he played rook from e2 to b2. So how to protect pawn on b7? b6 is the only logical move. So what next for Sun Chao? For Alexander Orlov and for Sun Chao also. I believe that a very good plan for Sun Chao is knight a5 with an idea to exchange queens. 3 minutes left for Alexander Orlov, and he decided to move his bishop back to h2 square. f4, very active play from Chinese player. And e4 is played by Alexander Orlov. So very interesting decision from him. e4, what a play. What a play. But I believe that, of course, D can take on e4. But the decision e4 was extraordinary for Alexander Orlov. He found a very good move. And now Sun Chao decided not to take pawn on e4. He played rook d8. e5. Oof. Very hard to understand what is going on in this position, but now f3, and right now Alexander will be under attack. Not very good decision, e5, as far as I'm concerned. Right now, how can he protect? Pawn, queen on b5 is not very good piece. Right now, rook e1, and what about just queen e6? Just queen e6 to prevent pawn to e6 with fork, but Sun Chao decided to play rook e8. Also possible way, of course. Oof. Very hot game. Maybe also a very good candidate, like game of Khachatryan Marietta and Malin. So Alexander Orlov is thinking about. Oh, he's thinking. 2 minutes left for him, and some good chances for Sun Chao. Queen a4. The idea is to move his queen to defense on the king side of the board. Maybe we can move queen d1 or queen c2 in the future. So Sun Chao, what about f takes g2? Yeah, king will take on g2 is the most logical. g4 or queen f5? I believe queen f5 is stronger. Could be if there is a checkmate, because queen can take on c6. So, you know, Sun Chao has to play very carefully, or he will blunder something. Maybe just rook e6. Just rook e6, why not? Then rook f5, queen f7. Some positional play even in this position also is possible. Less than a minute for Sun Chao. 2 minutes left for Alexander Orlov. Very interesting play. And we'll, of course, we'll see it till the end. Queen goes to e6. Now the idea is something like was with my move rook e6, but Sun Chao decided to play queen e6. Queen d1 is played by Alexander Orlov. He is attacking pawn on h5. So just 30 seconds left for Sun Chao. Queen g6. Very good play from him. He has better chances in this position as far as I'm concerned. Maybe rook b5? What about rook b5? Alexander. Let's attack pawn on d5. Why not? If you can, why not to do that? Alexander is thinking, less than a minute left in our tournament. More than 2 minutes for Alexander Orlov. 30 seconds left for Sun Chao. He's in huge time trouble. e6. Wow. Rook takes e6. Rook takes e6. Queen takes e6. And what next? Queen takes h5 was the idea. But what about queen e4? Queen e4. Come on, Sun. So I believe it is the last game we'll see for today in this particular match. But you know, we prepare for you even 2 more interesting matches for Moscow chess team today. We'll play against Czech Republic and Turkey. So rook h7, queen g4, queen g5 is not possible because rook g7. So queen g4 is the only move for Alexander Orlov. Yeah, the white offers draw. Very interesting decision. And what is the decision of Sun Chao? Will he accept this proposal? And yeah, on the last second, his timing, he decided to accept this draw. So very good play from both players, and we didn't see an attack as we mentioned. It was a very good plan maybe for Sun Chao to play it, but okay. Now let's make some conclusions of this tournament. So the tournament is all over. And what can we say? Moscow chess team won this match with 451 points, and Beijing gains 259 points. Very good for all teams, for both teams. They show us very good play. So let's name the best game right now, because I can forget about it. Khachaturian Marietta against Ma Li. So very good play from both players. Malin decided to win this game. And now let's name 3 best players in both teams. So Nikita Fedorov managed to bring Moscow chess team 28 points, and he took the first place today. Dmitry Rostovtsev managed to bring Moscow chess team 26 points, and he gains the second place and the third place with 24 points. There are a lot of players in Moscow chess team. For example, Khachaturian Nadezhda, Aram Yeritsyan, Nikolai Klemenov, AK4806, and Dominator, Orel Chess, Alexander Orlov, and Leonid Artelnik. So they all managed to bring Moscow chess team 24 points, and they got the third place together. And now let's switch to team Beijing. Chen Kailin managed to bring his team 24 points. Very good result from this Chinese player. 21 points for Li Guahao, and 20 points for 4 players like Sun Chao, Ma Lin, Wang Xuwen, and Gao Xinmin. So, very good match for both teams. Moscow team won with 451 points. Very good play from also Chinese players. We saw a lot of very interesting games. And don't go anywhere, because in a few minutes we'll start another match. Moscow Chess Club. We will play against Czech Republic, but this match is all over. Our congratulations to both teams for good play. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes, but our current broadcast is all over. My name is Pavel Voloshin, and see you in a few minutes. Goodbye.